Okay, can everybody hear me? Good morning.
Yes, can.
All right, welcome, welcome. It is week 4. Can you guys believe that? Hello. Craziness, right? And we're getting into a nice holiday season coming up here. Welcome, welcome. I'll miss you guys too. It's crazy that it's just the year has gone by so quick. Yep, and then we have the break coming up, and it's just it'll be nice so you guys can just relax and enjoy a nice break before we go right back into it in January. We don't get to know each other. So enjoy that time off. I know I will be working throughout the holiday break, but that's okay. I will be doing some admin stuff. But obviously I'm going to try to balance that as well. But you guys should definitely take that time off. So end strong this week. We have one more week to go through. I think this is kind of like the cross the T's, make sure you dot the I's, cross the T's kind of a week. Yep. So I think a lot of you guys will definitely have a nice deep breath this week for this class, other than, you do have a quiz for your assessment, but your assignment 4 is really kind of just, tying up loose ends and getting your files revised to make sure that you have them ready for, if this was a real case scenario for the printer for print purposes. So quizzes, yeah. Some people like them, some people don't. So before we get started, do you guys have anything that you want to talk about? Questions, concerns? Okay, you're ready? I do have a lot of you who have not submitted for week 3 yet, so it's a little bit of concern to me. Don't feel like you're out of time either, because I think this week will be a nice time to kind of get yourself up to speed. Yeah, so if you are up to date, that's great. Congratulations. You don't have as much pressure on yourself. But for those of you who still need to turn in, I think this week will definitely allow you to do so in order to get some credit in there. So, all right, so let's move on here. Just a couple announcements. I posted a few things last week as well. Let's go ahead and take a look here and make sure that we're all on the same page. I know a lot of you guys struggled with the assignment to conversion to from Pantone colors to CMYK colors. So what I decided to do is create a little video here. So if you missed it, it's like a 14-minute video of how to convert for this assignment. And a lot of you seem to, a lot of you guys seem to benefit from this, from what I've seen looking at your resubmissions over the past couple of days. So, but if you missed this, definitely take a look at that. This is everything I covered in the lecture. I just did it in a short video here. What kind of color page? I don't know what that question is for. Oh, okay. So, just if you need a little quick how-to video for conversion, definitely check that out. I also posted about differences between raster and vector down here. You guys were discussing that last week. And then this is just kind of a little preview of what we're going to be going over this week. And don't forget to, I just posted the Learning Coach schedule, contact information of Tara's schedule. And also, don't forget, you also have some great resources in here. Let's see here. It's under your course media page. So if you need additional resources, and there are required articles and videos that you need to, yeah. Oh, okay, Benjamin, sorry, that you need to watch as well, but go ahead and look through this. LinkedIn. Is anybody having issues with getting into the LinkedIn learning in this class? And anyone in here? Okay. Okay. I was just curious. I think one student I have two sections of this class email me about having issues logging in here. If you ever have issues, okay, logging into anything, through Canvas, just make sure that you're either using Firefox or Google Chrome. I know some students use Safari, and it's just a browser that's it doesn't really support a lot of websites. So always kind of double check to see if you are not using Safari. I would say avoid it at all costs, just because it seems like it just doesn't really work really well with certain platforms. So, okay. Yeah. So sometimes certain browsers support, what certain websites better. Okay. So we're just going to kind of go over again, just changing colors from spot to process. Spot colors is really like Pantone colors, if you're wondering what spot means. That's another word for Pantone. And like I said, I posted a little short video in there. We'll also talk about preparing a document for print through packaging. And that's really important to understand, because whenever you are a designer in the working world, and you need to prepare your document for print, you need to do it in a way that's going to be obviously appropriate for the purposes of print, and also ready to get it sent to the printer for purposes of printing. So that's, you do all this work, now it's ready to get it ready for print. So that's an important step. Final assessment, print ready files, we'll talk about that. And we could do the critique tomorrow. We actually have the last multi-session. Let me quit out of my mail here so it stops dinging. So if you want to meet, if you have any questions, want to go over anything, do some student critique of work, we will definitely have time tomorrow. That'll be our last multi-session. Yep, client needs the details and printers need the details. All right. So yeah, definitely come in. I will be in for 2 hours during the same time tomorrow. So definitely come in and, we'll chat. All right. Just due dates, you guys. Week 4 is a little different. Only in regards to, I cannot accept anything past the Saturday by midnight due date. So make sure you're getting in all of your work that needs to be done by that due date. And then week 4 discussion, same rules apply. So Wednesday is your initial post before midnight, and then respond to 2 peer posts by Saturday by midnight. Hopefully get that in as soon as possible so that you can gain the most out of the discussions. So don't wait also the last minute to upload. I've had students that have huge files, and obviously everybody's trying to download or upload your final assignments most likely at the end of the weekend, Friday, Saturday. So just make sure you're prepping, and if something were to happen, if something happens too, I just want to state this. You can email me your file. You can send me a Dropbox link or a Drive, Google Drive if it's too large. Just go ahead and zip it, and you can send it via email to me if it's not uploading. Because Canvas can be kind of tricky sometimes, especially when you have a large file. So don't think that that's your only option. I've had students do that before. I just would rather you guys submit it through Canvas, obviously, but if there's issues with that, you can definitely, go the other route as far as emailing me. I'm fine with doing that as well. All right. Teacher survey on Thursday. Ben's bringing that up. All right. So you're gonna review me, and that's always good, because we get some feedback from you guys on the class and how it was taught and what you believe, what your feedback is, so we can obviously evolve the class and ourselves. Face to face. All right, well, we'll see what I can do here. Benjamin, we'll see what I can do here. All right. And so due dates, just make sure you're getting that in. All right, converting spot to process. This is pretty fair. It's pretty easy once you kind of get the idea here. And just kind of make sure that you're checking your files. We are going to be, so if you're struggling on this and you needed to revise this, this is just a little reminder of how to do so. And like I said, I posted a how-to video as well. If you're, obviously this is in InDesign, but Illustrator, works the same way. You're going to check your spot colors. And the spot colors, if you go to your swatch palette, that's where you can click on the upper right-hand corner of your swatch palette to bring up the options to select your Pantone colors. When you select the Pantone colors, you will see that they are called spot colors too, and you'll see them in your little, it might not be in a little library folder like that, but you'll see it in your swatches. And in InDesign, they're a little different when you see them here in InDesign because you don't see that little corner, little white arrow corner with a little dot in it. Instead, you'll see a little square with a dot in it. But the Pantone colors are colors, that are pre-mixed for your assignment 2 that you are to start with your 2 different color schemes. When you convert this is again through InDesign. We did it through Illustrator when I showed you how to convert. So this looks like a little different, but if you're in InDesign, what you would do is you would go to your swatch window and you would select the swatch options under the little preset, those little lines there up in the upper right hand corner of the swatches window. So you can kind of see the steps here. And then change spot to process in the drop-down menu. Oh, similar to what we did in Illustrator, the color type, you would just click right on that drop-down arrow and choose, instead of spot, you would choose process, and on the right side there, it shows the after, and that's how you would click OK to convert. So in InDesign, this is how you would be able to see the colors, how you would be able to tell, because again, it doesn't rename them unless you go in and rename it. So you can see on the top before, you started out with selecting 2 spot colors in InDesign, the green spot and the purple spot. So you can see the little square with the dot in it. But once you convert it, like I just showed you in InDesign, those little dots disappear at the bottom. I'm just referring to starting out with the Pantone colors and converting it to CMYK. And this is, I just wanted to show you a little bit, it's a little different in InDesign how it looks. So I kind of wanted to show you the differences. You can convert colors obviously in InDesign just like you would in Illustrator. It just looks slightly different in regards to the palettes. Now, it's important to check your PDF as well, and before you print and before you set up your PDF. So go to how you would do this if you're in InDesign, you would go to Window, Output, and Separations Preview. And this is going to kind of show you, it'll give you kind of the separations of all of your colors. So with the left, it says with spot colors, the left side example here is showing you if you were to have 2 spot colors with your CMYK. So say if you were printing a poster and the logo needs to be in spot color, but everything else is in CMYK, you would see your spot colors in your swatches as you see it on the left here. Now, if you were to convert everything to CMYK, say if the client decided, well, I don't really want to pay that much to have the Pantones on my poster, it's not really a big deal to me, let's just do all CMYK process color. So you would convert it just like I showed you in the last slides, and you would see, whoops, sorry, the slide on your right is without. So you could kind of check for this in your file to make sure you don't have any of your Pantone colors in your file as a separations preview. So that's just a way to double check to see if you actually converted your Pantone to CMYK to process colors. Okay. Preparing a document for print. And these are things you guys will be doing for this assignment 4. So spell check. Check the following 5 items. Spell check. There's spell check in all of the programs that you have, Illustrator, InDesign, Word, all those, Photoshop. Every single program has spell check, so utilize that. And I can show you where that's at as well as we go forward here. Check colors, like I said. Make sure you have everything set for your color modes. Check for missing links and images. I'll show you how to do that. Check for missing fonts. You know, if it usually will tell you in InDesign. It'll have an error, a little red dot saying, you know, error if it's trying to sync a font that's in your file but maybe not on your computer. Check all bleeds and marks as well. Make sure you have, if you do have bleeds set, you want to make sure all your images, if they're bleeding off, are bleeding off correctly. If it's missing like an image, and that's only if you moved your, say like you have a file folder and you have all of the images that you use in your project, if you move that folder outside of the original spot that you had it in, and say you put it into another folder somewhere else, you're going to have to relink those, and it'll tell you, it'll have a little error and it'll say trying to sync up, and you can like link it. Or if you accidentally delete the images from your whole computer and fonts, it'll tell you, you know, this is missing. Yep, font and image. And that's another reason why I had somebody ask me why they submitted, you know, that signage piece that you guys did in Illustrator. One of the last steps was to create outlines. Do you guys know why you would do that? What's the purpose of that? Well, there is a purpose. Yep. So it can be opened by others who may not have your same font on their computer. And that's another reason why we also package files, because the printer, if you're sending your file to the printer for print, or if you're sending your file over to maybe another designer who's going to work on your you know, maybe revise certain things and work on it from the point that you stopped, they are working on a different computer than you. So they might not have the same fonts. They might not have the same image. They obviously don't have the images either. So packaging your file will allow them to link it up to their images, and also if they don't have the font, they can, you know, download the font from your linked folder. Outlining your Illustrator file will also do the same. It's almost like when you outline your file, it's almost like creating, it goes from an actual typeface font to just shapes and lines. So it's almost like, it's not a flat file like a PDF file, but it's not going to try to like sync up a font. It'll just, there's no fonts to sync up at all. Yep. So you can still edit it in regards to selecting certain parts of it, but you won't be able to edit it using the type tool because it's outlined. So it's always good to save it as another name so that you're not saving over the original file, because you won't be able to edit it using the text tool. So I usually do like, I'll do a file save as, and then I'll name it, and towards the end of the name I'll put outlines, so that if I need to edit the original file, if I need to go back to edit it in terms of using the type tool, I can do that because I have 2 files. Yep. All right, so again, spell check, make sure all mixed colors are CMYK, including colors from imported files. Identify and remove all unnecessary colors from the swatch panel. This is always good to do, just to kind of, you know, make it easy for the printer as well. And, you know, it's less confusing. Number 3, add unnamed colors to the swatch panel. Use the swatch contextual menu. Spot colors should be converted to CMYK. Spot colors are identified as spot colors with a dot inside the square next to the color name in the swatch palette. All right, links. Look at images specs from the links palette. You can choose, you know, window links to pull that panel up. Make sure images are in CMYK mode. To change the mode from RGB to CMYK, you will need to do this in Photoshop, just like I showed you guys, that extra step. All Photoshop images should be 300 pixels per inch at actual printed size. Effective pixels per inch as shown in the links palette should be at least 300, but not much bigger. Do you guys know what the difference between PPI and DPI is? Dots per inch. Do you know what the difference is between those two, though? Why you would say pixels per inch or dots per inch? It's pretty much the same thing. Pixels per inch is what you're describing when you're actually working in your document. So you're working on your file and it's not printed yet. But when you actually print it, that's when it's dots per inch. Does the same thing. It's just from screen to print. Just a little FYI there. Photoshop images should be saved as a TIFF, PSD, or JPEG. Try to eliminate layers from your TIFF file. That just means if you have any like extra layers in there. Of course, yep. Your principles are always important, your design principles. Excuse me. Use LZW compression to make the file size smaller. Only use PSD when necessary, transparencies, technical blends, and masks, etc. Fonts, make sure all fonts are free of any problems in the Find Font box. I just got to knock at the door here. Hold on 1 second, guys. Convert trouble fonts to outlines. We will do a demo of this. Give me 1 second here. Somebody's ringing my doorbell. Okay, looks like it's just a Christmas package. Okay, so yeah, so 0.125, so 1/8 bleed is a typical bleed. Sometimes printers will have 1/4 of an inch too, so that's why it's super important to double check the printer specs, whatever they have set on their end. But 0.125 is basically the default bleed if you don't know. And you can always kind of change that if the printer says, well, we have to have 1/4 of a bleed. Yeah. So bleed marks, we were just talking about bleeds and marks, extending that. When exporting as a PDF, make sure bleeds are set to at least 1/8 in the bleeds, marks and bleeds section. After clicking save when exporting as a Adobe PDF. Make sure all printer marks are selected. Do not use default document settings. I'm going to make sure that that's customized. All right. Packaging the InDesign file and then zip it. So make sure your document is saved and then go to File and Package. You guys know that, hopefully. This creates a new folder where a copy of your InDesign file is placed along with a folder containing your fonts and another folder containing your links. We will do a demo of this. You're going to create a PDF and place it in your package folder. You guys should be privy to this as well because you did this in the past. Do this in InDesign by going to File and Export. Make sure the preset is on press settings and make sure your printer marks are selected and bleeds are set to 1/8 inch minimum. And now you're going to zip the package folder, which also contains your PDF by selecting the folder in the Finder and go to File and compress the file name. So this creates a file with the same name as your folder, but with a zip extension. This is the file you will upload into Canvas for this assignment. It is also what you will need to send to printers via email when sending a job to the press. You guys should all pretty much know how to do this because you needed to do this for your past submissions. Any questions about that? It's kind of like a little review, but some things to think about. All right, so we're gonna just go forward right into our week 4 overview here then. All good. All right, so you guys are going to be in week 4, just some learning objectives that we will be walking away from our final week. You're gonna discuss the role color plays in the big 4 design principles. So yes, we are gonna go back to our CRAP Identify and determine the appropriate use of lossy and lossless compression. We'll talk about that in your discussion. Differentiate between additive and subtractive color models. We're going to also differentiate between spot, Pantone, RGB, and CMYK color models. Define primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. Define tints, tones, and shades of color. Identify the following color schemes. Don't forget, those color schemes in week 1: complementary, triadic, analogous, split complementary, monochromatic. Identify and apply correct resolution for print output. Distinguish the similarities and differences between raster images and vector graphics. Set up margins, gutters, bleeds in a document for correct pre-press output, and then create a packaged print-ready pre-pressed file. There's a short little video on here thinking about outside of the box. You guys can definitely check out. Like I said, course media, definitely check in there for additional resources. All right, did anybody start your discussion for this week? Last discussion. Okay, we got some people. Good. Okay, so we're basically going to be comparing and contrasting the differences between lossy and lossless images. Okay. I'm just going to read through here. So in today's world, you are likely to purchase stock photography for your projects. I've purchased many in my past and still do. It is tempting to download the .jpeg provided and begin to reformat it directly for your projects. This is not really recommended, and here's why. Every time you open and resave a JPEG, the information within it is diminished. You're literally throwing pixels away with every single save as command. Files formatted as .jpeg have a lossy compression attached to them. This means the original data is not preserved. Lossless is a second compression system that preserves original data. Lossless files are larger, and that is why it's often not utilized, particularly online. Here is a short video that does an excellent job of explaining the differences between lossy and lossless compression. Notice how the narrator describes the different compressions and their effect, many of which he explains will help you with this discussion this week. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Hi, I'm Stacy Reed, bringing you this Butterscotch.com video tutorial about image compression. Understanding image compression is really just a matter of thinking in numbers. The number of bits that are stored and the number of pixels that make up the image are both key factors. An uncompressed image with a resolution of 640 by 480 has 307,200 pixels total. A true color image of that size would take about 1 megabyte of storage space, considering that each pixel uses 3 bytes. Now, the file size increases with the image resolution. So let's say that we have a true color image that's 1024 by 768. It would take about 2.5 megabytes of storage space. Now imagine that you have a few of these 2.5 megabyte files on your server and they're being downloaded by everyone who visits your website. You would probably use up a lot of bandwidth very quickly. Thankfully though, we can compress image data to make the file size smaller while retaining the height and width dimensions of the image. We're using IrfanView, but there are a lot of programs that can convert and compress your images with ease. In fact, most image editors can do so. Also, most digital cameras nowadays compress your images automatically, so you can store more images on your camera and then move them to your computer much quicker. When you compress an image, it's done in one of two formats, either lossless or lossy. Think of it in terms of data loss. Lossy files lose data, and lossless files retain the data. Allow me to explain a little further. Lossless formats like TIFF, bitmap, and ping use algorithms that save the image with maximum image quality. Unfortunately, the compression ratios are quite a bit weaker than lossy formats, so the end result is a larger file, but the quality is going to be well preserved. That's why images that will be printed are usually saved with lossless compression, because the integrity of that image is much more important than, say, displaying it on an internet site. Lossy formats like JPEG discard information when they're saved. The amount of information that gets discarded directly influences the size of the file. It's also important to note that when you save a lossy file, you can never go back to the previous state. Each time the file is opened and saved as a JPEG, it's going to lose more and more data, which will cause the image to become pixelated over time. The reason for this is that pixel data is trashed during compression. So when the image is reopened, the computer fills in the missing data by borrowing from neighboring pixels. So looking at these images as an example, you can see the visual artifacting occurring most in the image that has been saved with the highest compression. You may hear of this being referred to as pixelation. So basically, you kind of have to choose between either compromising your file size or compromising file quality when you're choosing image compression. If the file is to be placed on your website, consider how often people will download the file and how much strain that's going to put on your bandwidth allowance. But if a file is too large, it could take longer for your web page to load, and most people won't stick around to see it. When in doubt, choose a compression ratio that's somewhere in the middle and save it as a new file. You can always open it and see how it looks, and if you don't like it, open the original file again and compress it until you get it just right. So now you know a little bit more about lossy and lossless images and the basics of image compression. This is Stacy Reed with Butterscotch.com. Sign.
Okay, so hopefully that kind of is a little bit more technical, but kind of understand a little bit more about what lossy and lossless means. Okay. So the prompt is, you are once again working with the client from week 3. You've gotten the job and have recreated their logo as a vector file. So that's the scenario. So you are now ready to move on to work on brochures, billboards, and more. The owner of the company points you to their website once again for assets, telling you that the website is the only place they have photos to use. All right, so for your initial post, please address the following questions. Will these photos work for the projects you have been hired to do? Why or why not? How do you explain your dilemma to the client? How does lossy and lossless compression figure into this? So basically what they're telling you here is that you're working with the same client from last week's discussion, and you already redid their logo as a vector file, so it's ready to go. You're ready to move on. You're creating their brochures, their billboards, everything that they need. However, the owner is, again, kind of directing you to their website for photos that they want to use in their brochures and their billboards. So they're actually saying, go to our website. You can use those images on there for all of your the pieces that you're doing. So what's wrong with that? Do you think that they're lossy or lossless images if they're on the website most likely? Yep. So what's wrong with that if you're using that for printed purposes? Yep, exactly. So you're taking a lossy image. Yep, it'll be pixelated. Exactly. So you guys understand that, right? Yep. So talk about how, will these photos work just like you did last week? How do you explain this dilemma to your client? And then how does lossy and lossless compression figure into this? Kind of go over the facts again of what you just explained to me. Does that make sense? So you might use articles that describe, lossy versus lossless compression. You're welcome. You might talk about print versus web resolution and color, and or which file type is best for which job. And this is a really good discussion again, because this is something that can allow you to be able to communicate when you need to a client who may give you this scenario. You might need to educate them a little bit on why, that's not the best way to go about it. Okay. So just make sure, you're, once you post your initial post, or when you're ready to respond to your peer, you're ready to discuss the effectiveness of their response. You might consider addressing questions such as, what points came across well and which need further explanation? What might help clarify their points? Can you share resources that you found in your research that might help to clarify a point? Showing visual examples is always a great idea too. All right, so you guys got that? Any questions in regards to that? All right, so we're good to go. Awesome. All right, sorry about you can hear my my nice little clock going off on the wrong time because I have to set it. Love my clock. All right, let's get right into the week 4 assignment here. And like I said, this is going to be just kind of the you're cleaning up basically what you have done so far. You can go ahead and read this background. I won't read this out loud to you. It's all important information to read, but I won't bore you to read over it. Prompt, this assignment is to prepare you for the correct way to send files to printers. So the design revisions you received from me would be that what a client may tell you. So these, a client, it could be even the printer as well, or somebody that you work with that's kind of checking your files. So these must be fixed before sending to press, or it will be a very expensive reprint for the designer. Look at your feedback that I have given you on the technical issues, possibly, and fix everything that was noted. Learning what needs to be sent, or you can double check it too, to the printer correctly the first time will save you time and money. If your files are not set up correctly, the printer can fix them, but they will charge you, and it will be in addition to the bid, so you will have to pay for those fixes, not your client. Plus the fact that, obviously if you're working for somebody and you keep, sending up files that aren't correct, that's definitely not good reflection on your work. So, sometimes mistakes happen, but doing them over and over again is definitely not a good thing. You must incorporate design and technical revisions per Mind's feedback on the following projects from this mod. So you're going to go back to your week 2 poster. You're going to see what needs to be revised, if anything. You're going to do your just a print check, spell check, all that, color check, resolution check, color mode check, all of that good stuff. Week 3 brochure is another another project that you're going to also print check, and then your signage from week 3. And also just make sure that all 3 of these pieces look consistent in regards to their color, the logo that you're using. They look like they belong to the same brand, the same campaign pieces. Yeah, and then look at obviously the design elements. Yeah, because I may have given you feedback on that as well. Pre-press requirements. So poster and brochure. Let's break this down a little bit because it gets kind of confusing down here. So I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So we're just going to do step by step here. All right, so on your poster and your brochure, all images converted to the correct color model. Okay, you guys know how to do that. So let me go back to the poster. So you're going to open up. I'll do the poster first here. This is the poster that I was working on with you guys. Let me do a preview here. Excuse me, RGB. I have some weird things going on with my logo here. So you're going to open up your poster, and we're going to check to see if all of your color mode is correct. So you're going to go up to Window, and you're going to choose excuse me, links. Sorry, I'm like coughing here. And this is basically where you'll find all of your images that you have within your poster or whatever file that you're opening. And then you can go in here and click on these images to check their the specifics about them. So you can check out the format, the color space. So this is CMYK, so I'm good. You can see the size, all of the specifics are in here. So just making sure if this is, if this was a JPEG format, and then if this said RGB, I would have to go into Photoshop and revise that. I would actually have to convert it to RGB, and I can show you that in a second. I just launched Photoshop. I thought I had it open. And then also checking my pixels per inch as well. And I showed you in past lectures on how to check that, but let me see if I can open this up here. Let's see. I think it was this picture here. Yeah, okay. So open up your original image. If this, the color mode isn't correct in Photoshop, let me share my desktop so you guys can see all of my menu bars here. I always forget to do that, sorry. All right, so open up every image in Photoshop as I showed you before. Go up to image and you can check your color mode here. So right now, this image that I just, this isn't the one that I linked in my actual layout that I just showed you. I just pulled this from my original file, so that's why it's still RGB. So what you would do is change this to CMYK color. So this is good that I'm showing you this in this regards. And then go up to image, image size. Now this one is, fortunately, already set at 300 pixels per inch, so I'm good. So that's where you would save, check that. And then obviously you would save as a TIFF file, which is gonna be a bigger file. Okay, I'm gonna cancel that because I don't really need to do anything there. And then place it back in here and you'll see those changes. All right, any questions about that? Okay. The logo file, I saved out as a TIFF file. Let me see here. You might have a ping file. If you have a ping file in here, let me show you real quick. See how this says CMYK color space? If you have a ping file in here instead, let me show you what I mean by this. So if I were to place this one in here, it's going to show as an RGB ICC profile. Excuse me. Now you can, let me open this up in Photoshop here real quick. So this is the AI file. 300 pixels per inch. There we go. Okay. So you can change the color mode to this too. All you would need to do is open up your logo file. So I would open up your AI file in Photoshop. You can change the color mode there. And then go ahead and save as a TIFF. I'm going to put this on my desktop. And then just obviously, this is where, obviously this is set to Mac if you're on a Mac and all that good stuff. So none, image compression. Again, I'm going to put none just because this is for print purposes. So I don't really want to compress this. We were talking about lossy and lossless. Click OK. And then you would just obviously go back into InDesign and you would replace this out. And then that way the CMYK mode will change. And it should post in here. Let me see, because I got the older one in here. Let me post this one in here. Desktop. Oh, it does do it with the with the background. Okay. So we're gonna have to. It shows as CMYK, but then you have that white background to eliminate here. And there is a way you can export this out without having that background. Let's see here. Export. Give me 1 second here. We don't want to do that. What is that exporting? No, this isn't coming up. Interesting. All right, let me just go ahead and save this as a, because it's not going to come in here without that white background. Let's just do, let's say this is a Photoshop file, and I'm going to save this to my desktop. This is the tricky thing about the ping files and the way that it comes in here without a background. There we go. So that the only bad thing about placing a PSD file is just that the file size is bigger, but you will be able to place this without a background. And this color space is CMYK. Okay. So that's what you would need to do. You just go open up your AI file in Photoshop, like I showed you, change the color space to CMYK, and then just do a file save as in Photoshop, just as a PSD file, and then go back to your InDesign file to place it. Okay. Another thing that you want to check out is your, let's see, spelling. So go up to edit, spelling, just check spelling in your document. You guys should have been doing that all along, but just to show you where that's at in InDesign. Skip anything that, doesn't need to be changed. Click done when you're ready. Another thing to check out down below, let me see. I think you can't see this because there we go. Excuse me. So links, you know how to do that. Make this smaller so I can see everything. Okay, at the very bottom of your InDesign file, see where it says no errors? If this had any type of weird things going on, say like, maybe I had missing links or missing fonts, it would come up here as a red dot and it would say error. Right now it says no error. So what you would need to do is just click on this little drop down menu and pre-flight panel, and it would basically show you the error that needs to be changed in here. Now, because I don't have an error in here, it's not showing me, but that's where you would double check that. Any questions about that? Okay, so you're going to convert all images converted to color, the correct color model. So I just showed you how to do that. I just showed you how to relink and save out correct resolution for print, 300 pixels per inch. Just make sure when you place them in there, they're not getting too small or too big percentage-wise when you're placing them into your InDesign file. Usually like 80, don't go below 80%. I'm sorry, don't go above 80% in regards to your percentage. All images saved with the appropriate file type. We're just talking about TIFFs and if you're doing your logo and you want that transparency behind it, you're going to have to place a PSD file. Bleeds are correctly implemented. So I have, right now, if I go to my toolbar here in InDesign, if I select this very bottom little icon here, it's going to give me different previews. So it's going to give me a normal preview. I can see, all my bleeds here, the red bleed marks. You can see the margin marks and everything like that. If I go to preview, that's where it kind of shows you what it would look like when it's printed. So it kind of hides all of that detail. If you go to bleed, it's just going to show you the bleed, slug, which I don't have anything, and then presentation mode. So I'm just going to go to normal, and I'm just going to make sure, it looks good. But go ahead and zoom in real tight to your bleeds and just make sure any type of image that needs to be trimmed off, that you're pulling that to align with your bleed. Right now I have an 1/8 of a bleed all the way around. It looks pretty good. All right. Just double check that. Margins and gutters properly positioned. Here for the poster, we don't really have gutters, but we have margins, right? So our margins are set at, let's see, what are our margins set at? 1/2 inch? Yeah, 1/2 inch. Just kind of making sure everything's aligned is good too. So this is your poster. So your poster is ready to go. Now I'm going to go right into your brochure now. And so the brochure, again, you're going to go and, read my comments and make the necessary changes. And then what you're going to do, let me hit normal here, is you're going to make the changes. We're going to do a spell check. Okay, if everything looks good there, we're going to make sure that all of our images are their correct color space. So I'm going to go up to Window and choose Links. Now I probably have images in here I didn't convert yet, so this is a good example to show you. Okay. So you can go in here and just check out each of the images. These are all the images used in your brochure, should be shown here. And again, it'll show you, excuse me, the format. It should show you all of the integral details in here. This is kind of in a folder. That's why you couldn't see the color space, but now I can. So CMYK, 300 pixels per inch. That looks good. This is one I would have to replace with my PSD file. I'll go ahead and do that. Let's relink that. Okay. And, right now you'll see it's CMYK. And then I'll go to the other, this is the one I did convert for you guys in the demo, so this should be good, CMYK. All the other ones are, this is what would be a flag. So if I were to see this before I went to print, I'd say, okay, I need to convert these, resize them, make sure all the resolution and the color mode is correct. So I have Kayak 7, the brochure image 5, Kayak 1 and 4. And those, you can kind of show you, if you double click on that number next to it, it'll take you to that actual image. So if you're unclear of what image they're talking about, where it's at in your document, you can just double click on that number. Okay. So like I said before, what I would do is if you needed to redo this in, obviously I need to take this into Photoshop. What I would do first is go up to Windows, just review this again, and go to Info. And here, if you click on your image, you can see the size that you're placing it in as. So that's a good thing to know, because you'll need to resize this. So right now it's saying my width is 3.3309 by 2.249. It's a JPEG image and RGB color space. All right, so I want to do the Kayak 4 JPEG. I want to open that up in Photoshop. So here we go, the original image, the one that you placed in there. In Photoshop, we're going to change the mode to CMYK. We're going to go to image size. So what do I need to change here? What's the first thing I should change? The size. All right. I would probably change the resolution first, because that's going to change the size. Yep, no, that's a good guess. So if I change this to 300, look how it kind of changes the size. If I don't have resample. If I have this kind of checked, you won't see the size change. So right now at 300, and you can resample this once you do type in 300, because that was 200. We want it 300. It resized it to 2.667 by 1.487. Well, that's actually smaller than what we have in here, right? It's pretty close, though. You might have a little bit of pixelization. I would say at this point, if you could get a larger image from the client, I would definitely do that, but you guys are kind of limited with what you have in class. So this is pretty close to what you need. I'm going to type in 3.4 because it was 3.33, right? By, what do we say? 2.2. Okay, so I would do the height more than the width, because we know that there, that's kind of what would be fitting into our actual frame. And then click OK. And actually doesn't look too bad. And click OK. And then I'm going to go File, Save As, and then we're going to save this as a TIFF file. And I'm going to save this to the desktop so I know where to get it. Go back into InDesign, and then click on that little relink in your links panel, and just trade that out with the TIFF file. Okay, and then once you click on that, it's going to show you the proper pixels per inch, CMYK color space TIFF file. Okay. And then you would just go through here and change this one. I'll do this one too, Kayak 7. So right now, let me click on Kayak 7. We are, let's see, where's my info? 3.3 by 3.3. It's almost like a square. So I would go, and this is, it takes a while. It takes a little while. So, you know, it seems like a lot of work, but especially if you have a lot of pictures in your actual design. You get the hang of it. It goes quick. Image, convert it to CMYK, and then image size. And again, here we go, 300. Let's resample this. There we go. 300 pixels per inch. We changed that to first, and then we went 3.3, not 3.4, I would say. So just a little bigger than what we had it. And then we're just going to save this as. If it was a lot of, if it was a significant size, it obviously wouldn't work. As far as, you know, if I had to say maybe use this as an 8.5 by 11 image at 300, that's not going to work because the size is too small. It would just be real pixelated. But, you know, I'm only increasing it maybe less than an inch, so it's not too bad. These are pretty small and lower res to begin with what you were given. And then just go ahead and replace it. Once you do, again, you can see it in your links panel, how it should be placed in there. Any questions about that? Okay. You know, you can delete any colors in your color swatch panel here that you are not using. So for instance, I think just the last 3 colors here, because I was using a 3 color, I can delete these. Okay. Just to kind of get that cleaned up there. Okay. So go ahead and change any type of the images that need to be changed. Just because I want to make sure when we export this out, this is going to be, I'm going to change all of these just because I feel like that's the best way to show you guys to get in good habits. So Kayak 1, I would actually have to go back to Photoshop, open Kayak 1, let's change these 2, and then we can go forward. You know, this is a good time too, before you do anything, you can actually do some adjustments too. Like if you were to, you know, want to make this a little lighter, for instance, you could do that as well. I think let me edit, undo before I actually change it there. When you change to CMYK, you have less options. So before you actually convert it, this is when you would want to, you know, play around with, you know, levels, stuff like that. Say, you know, I feel like this is kind of a, needs a little bit of a lightening up. So I would go in here, if you guys know anything with Photoshop, and I would choose my darkest spot for levels. Holding down the Alt Option key, I can pick, you know, the darkest spot, the lightest spot, in levels. Of course, I think I picked the wrong. Let me zoom out here. Image mode adjustments. Let's do levels again. And let me zoom in here so I can actually pick the darkest spots. I feel like the darkest spots would be somewhere around here. So if you wanted to do any type of color correction, you could do it at this point. That would be my darkest point, and then my lightest point would be somewhere around here. Actually didn't change too much. Let me pull this a little bit. You know, something like that. It'll be a little bit of a lighter image here. And then you can change the CMYK, and then image size. Again, 300 sample. And I'm using this one, 3.2 width, 2.2 height. So height 2.2, I'd probably put 2.4. Is it 3.4? And you can see that the file size gets a little bigger because I am making it a little bigger in size, but it's not too big, too much of a change. Okay, and then you would just go back in here, relink this. You can see the color change when I plop it in there. Okay, we have one more image that we need to do, which is the brochure image. This one here. This is being used at 4.5 height, and this is brochure image 5. Let me see if I can find it here. Brochure image 5. There we go. Image size. And 300, look how big this one is. 300%, that's perfect, or 300 resolution, but then the actual width and height are huge, 16 inches by 11. We're only doing about 3 by 4.5. So watch this change in the file size when I change this here to 4 inches height, changes it to 6. It goes from a 63 megabyte, yep, to an 8 megabyte. So that's good. That makes it so that your file isn't as big. So definitely certain images that are bigger will definitely need to be resized. Okay, so TIFF is a it's a file format that doesn't throw out pixel information. It's not a compressed file. So it's the highest quality file that you can get for printed purposes. And that's why you would do, excuse me, a TIFF versus a JPEG. A JPEG throws out pixel information because it's a more of a compressed file format. Just like we talked about before. JPEG is good for, you know, web purposes because of that, but for printed purposes, TIFF is the best file format to go for that. When you're ready, just go File, Save, which I already did, and just kind of clean up your file. So let me go ahead and reset my essentials here, clean this up. So check your colors, like I showed you in the swatches. I'm going to delete all my extra stuff here, which you guys shouldn't have, but if you do, get rid of it. Check your bleeds again. Mine look pretty good. It's always good to kind of zoom in and use your space bar to kind of navigate around to make sure, you know, if you have anything bleeding off, that you're fixing that. Check your margins, you know, everything's equally spaced besides making your, you know, if you have any design revisions, just kind of make sure you're making those as well. Color mode, everything looks good. What else do we have to do here? Let me check. Bleeds, margins, and gutters. That's what I wanted to talk about. So margins and gutters, are basically, because I don't really have 2 columns set up in my body copy. I only have 1 column on each panel. I don't really have gutters. Gutters are usually in between two columns of text. But I do want you guys to be aware of in between your panels, if they're spaced correctly and equally spaced, especially, and this looks like I need to kind of adjust some things, but right here, but especially, you know, where your body copy box is, to equal everything out. My guides are locked, okay. So, you know, making sure of that before actually doing all of your image manipulation too is good, because then, you know, if you need to resize your image based on your revisions, you're doing that first before doing that. And then also your, you know, checking out your rag, which is, the rag is basically the outside area of your type. So just making sure you don't have any, you know, for instance, this is a bad break right here. So how I would correct that is try to shift return some words down here so that, you know, it's avoiding the weird bad breaks that, or hyphens that are happening. Yep, the widow. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. So that's for your poster and brochure. Your signage is a little different. So your signage, you did this in Illustrator. So your logo and text colors correctly set for spot color output. So go ahead, open up your Illustrator file. This should be set as 10 inches by 4, and it should be landscape, not portrait. Go ahead and check your colors. So I would go to your, excuse me, swatches. And I have a ton of swatches here, so I'm probably going to delete a lot of these here. Oh, I'm holding down the wrong key. I'm holding down my caps lock key. Okay, so holding the shift key down, deleting any type of swatches that you're not using, kind of cleaning this up will make it a lot less crazy for you and the printer. So I'm just leaving my 3 Pantone colors registration. I think that's just a default in there. I don't think you can delete that. Let me see. No, you can't. So leaving that in there is fine. And then go ahead and ungroup whatever so you can check each one. And these should be Pantone in Illustrator. So that's a Pantone color. That's a Pantone, and that's a Pantone. Now, this says, let's see, logo and text colors correctly set for spot color output. Aspect ratio for enlarging is correct. So we're good because that's 10 by 4. All elements are properly created to be fully scalable for enlargement. Okay. So what I would do, and if you didn't do this yet, I would just do a file save as, and I would do, let me save this first as my original file, AI file. So that would be your AI file. And then do a select all. Actually, before you do that, just do save as. Hold on one second, I'll answer your question there. File save as, just save it as underscore outlines so that you can go back to the original file if need be, and that's outlines.ai. Okay, so it's 2 files that you'll be doing. This file, the outline file, is what you'll be outlining. So select all, or Command A, or select all. And then you're going to create outlines under type. And it's going to take it from a font to a shape. And then you're just going to save that. Let me see here. I would say if you chose your 3 color scheme, you can show that on your signage. I wouldn't be picky about that. Just making sure that what I would be picky about is, you know, she was asking just a 2-color version or a 3-color. Yeah. Okay. So let's just keep it 2-color then. I'm not quite sure why I showed my 3-color here. So you would have a 2-color. So I would change this to be like this. And then I would get rid of this one. Yep. Let's see here. Maybe I could just do something like this too, where maybe this becomes red, something like that. Okay, I'm going to save as. I think I just saved over my AI file by accident. All right, so that would be your 2-color, 2-Pantone color. Okay. Any questions about that besides the 2-color confusion there? So that is the pre-press requirements for both pieces there. Okay. Now this is where it could be a little overwhelming and kind of confusing. So I want to go break this up into parts as well so you guys understand this. So your poster and brochure, you're going to create a package for print. You're basically just packaging both files. So your poster and your brochure. You're also going to create a press quality PDF for that as well. So go ahead, let's start with your poster. When everything is all good, we're going to say file package. And this is where you can check too, like if everything looks okay in here in terms of their length and, you know, their color modes are in here as well. This is where you can check your inks and colors. So if you have Pantones showing in here, it's going to list it here. I'm not using Pantone, so that's good. I'm only seeing CMYK here. And that's my print settings. So just click OK, package, sorry, click package. Oh, I got to save it before I do it. And I'm going to save this to the desktop. Okay, you can include your PDF here as long as you have the press quality selected. It's going to put that into your folder, but everything else should be checked on the left side here. And hit package. All right, at that point, what I would do is go ahead and check out your package folder here. So I save this to my desktop. Here's the package folder here, and just make sure everything's in there, and then open up your file, your actual PDF, to make sure your press quality PDF has, you know, your bleeds and trim mark. Press quality already? What do you mean by that? Like when you package them, you could just check that option box. Okay, so that looks good, and we're ready to go to your brochure. So we're going to go File Package, and again, just hit Package. So you're going to have 2 package folders. Again, include PDF, print, press quality, package. It might take a while because this one has a lot of pieces, a lot of different images, and it's a little higher. It has a lot of other images, high quality images. Okay, so I have my assignment 2, which is your poster, and I have the packaged brochure. So go ahead and open the brochure up. Make sure that looks good. It has 2 pages, should be 2 pages. I can see my trim marks are there. That looks good. Okay, so I have my 2 folders. The next thing I need to do is step number 2, which is, okay, we did that, signage. So we need to go into Illustrator for your sign and create a press quality PDF. So go ahead and do that. So file save as print PDF, hit save, and then this is where you can change the preset to your press quality. And then just double check your marks and bleeds. You want to make sure your trim marks, and I don't think you need registration marks. Just no crop marks, page information, and then use document bleed settings. So trim marks should be checked, and then bleeds, use document bleed settings. Save PDF. All right. So that should be placed on your desktop. So here we go. That's the next PDF to look at. And you can see the trim marks. I'm sorry, the trim marks are there. Okay, there's no real bleed on there for mine because I didn't have a background color or anything bleeding off. So if you had a background color, you'll obviously bleed that off. Okay, so you're going to create at this step, number 4, you're going to create a folder named DES, and you can, obviously copy this assignment and then your first and last name. Oh, I should just share my desktop here. Hold on. Okay, so I would just click anywhere where you're going to create this new folder. I'm going to do the desktop. And I'm going to go up to File, New Folder, and I'm going to create, rename this DES114 Assignment 4, first and last name. Okay, here's my folder I just created. So that's number 4. Number 5, place all the files from 1 to 3, what I just did, 1 to 3, you created in step 4. So place them all into that folder. Boop, all into this folder. So I have my PDF, I have my poster, and I have my brochure package files. You're going to zip the folder and upload the zipped file. Note, if the zipped is too large for Canvas to upload, place the PDF into the package folder and zip each one separately. I'll show you what that means. So the sign would have the PDF and AI compressed together. The name would change to poster. This would change to brochure. And the signage would change to this name if you're doing all of them separate. So basically what they're saying is if you're zipping this, so let's say if you zip this, go File, Compress. This is what you really should be able to do to upload. But if this doesn't upload to Canvas in one zipped file, you might need to do it a different way. So here's the file right here. This is what you would definitely try to upload. Now this is a 92.1 megabyte file. That's pretty big. And yours is going to be pretty big, just like that. So if that's not uploadable, what they're saying is you can actually compress these two folders. I guess zip them. Compressing is the same thing. Individually. So you're going to compress these. So this one. And this one. And then you would get rid of the 2 folders because they're already compressed in there. So you would have your PDF and then your 2 zipped files. And then you would compress that. If that's too big, you could upload each individual zipped file. So you would upload your PDF separately. You would upload this next, your second poster, zipped folder, and then you would upload this. So it'd be like 3 different files. Because I'm not quite sure if this would be, yeah, it's still 92 megabytes. So you could do it individually as well, because that's going to be the same size. I've had students do that and it works. If that doesn't work, go ahead and you can, I don't know if you've ever used Google Drive or Dropbox. If you do that, I'll need a link. Once you do upload it, you'll send me a link so that I can access it to download. You can also try to email it to me, although I think some emails can be sticklers on, you know, the file size that you're trying to send. Let me see what each of these are individually here. This one is 35 megabytes. That's the poster. And then this one's 56. And then the PDF is, yeah, it's smaller. Yeah, so it might be worth it to go on to, and they're free. If you ever go to Dropbox and just sign up for a free account, free membership, and then you would just upload your file there. And then when you go to share it, you would send me the link via email. And I think maybe what I'll do is I'll post those instructions and announcements this week so that you guys, if you do have issues with uploading it, you guys can definitely do that. Okay, so after we get past 6, now we have to do something a little bit different. So what we're going to be doing for number 7 is you're going to create a web-friendly JPEGs of your campaign, and you're going to upload them to Behance site. And then you're going to email your FPA with a link to the project, and you're going to CC me. If you don't know who your FPA is, let me know. I can look it up for you. I am actually an FPA, so I might have you. So I might be your FPA, and if I am, no need to, you know, you would just email me everything. So, you know, that's instead of doing it twice. All right, so let's go and let me show you real quick, just to make sure that we're all organized. What I would suggest before doing step 6 is creating a new folder completely. In this folder, I would just name it Behance. You can name it like your class number, Behance. And then you would just export all your JPEGs into this. All right, so let's go and start with your poster again. And what you're going to do is you're going to export. So in InDesign, go to File, Export, and you're just going to save this as a JPEG. I'm going to place this in my desktop for now, and then I'll place it in that folder. When you click OK, you know, everything here should be for resolution. Resolution should be 72 pixels per inch for web resolution, and then color space is RGB. That's fine. And then export. The JPEG should go right on wherever you saved it. I'm going to place this right into my Behance folder. Any questions about that? Okay. Then you're going to go to your brochure, and you're going to do the same thing. So just go export, JPEG. I'm going to put this on my desktop. And you're going to do all pages. You don't have to do spreads. Everything else should be 72 dots per inch. Maximum quality is fine, RGB. Click export. And it should export as 2 different JPEGs. So just dump that into that folder. Okay, the next one would be your signage. Now this is a little different because, yeah, I think we just have to go File. Yeah, cancel. So you're an Illustrator. You're going to go File, Export, Save, Export As. And what I would do before you do anything, I just wanted to make mention of this. If you have a white background like I do here, you want to make sure that you can see the edges of this when you place this into Behance. So my suggestion, just for this purpose, is I would just draw a square or rectangle the size of your layout. I would fill it with a black border, a stroke of, let's see, just a thin stroke. Doesn't have to be real thick. I would say like at least 1 point. Yep. no fill. And then I would do export as, and and I'll show you what this looks like whenever I upload it. You'll be able to see why I did that. Go to JPEG. I'm going to save it to my desktop. Change this to RGB if it's CMYK. Maximum's fine. We'll just do screen and click OK. Okay, and then just throw that right in your Behance folder right there. All right, then you're going to log in your Behance. Now this is my empty one, so you can it's a little easier to show you here. And we're going to create a project. And you're going to upload your files. And I know mine are all my desktop, so I'm just going to go to my desktop. And I created a folder called Behance, so I know exactly where they are. And I'm going to select that first file, and I'm going to hold down the Shift key to select all of my files. And then I'm going to click Open. And this is what it should look like. They have to be JPEG, yes. Now see how this has a stroke on it? If I didn't have that stroke on there, you wouldn't be able to see where the edges are because I didn't have a color background for my sign. I'm going to click Save. Continue, I should say. I'm going to pick a cover image. I'm going to go ahead and do that. You can name it, our class name, and then Aqua Excursions brand identity, maybe something like that. Crop and continue. Basic information, obviously we are doing the color theory, but also layout. So, you could choose graphic design. There's 3 words that you'll need to pick here. Give me typography. Is there a layout? Let's see, digital art. No layout. See, it's a little picky here, but let's do to advertising, creative direction. Let's just do that. Click done. Tools used, we used a lot of the tools, the Adobe Creative Suite. I'm just going to put to sum it up. And you don't have to worry about co-owners. You don't have to worry about copy and license. Just hit publish, and this should publish your work. And then when you click publish, this little link will come up. Go ahead and select that, copy that, and send that to your FPA. Just give them a little write-up. Say, hey, I'm, so-and-so. I'm in DES114 for Mod 12, and I'm doing a brand identity piece for Aqua Excursions, and I wanted to see what your feedback would be on this. I much appreciated. And then send this link, copy and paste that link in there into your email. CC on me on that because I'm your instructor. And again, if you don't know who your FPA is, just let me know. I'll look it up for you. And if I am your FPA and instructor, you just have to send it to me. All right. And, just for heck of it, just go back to your profile and see how that looks. And you can always go in here and edit this if you need to. This little cog here, you can edit. You can promote it. Again, this is where you'd find that link again if you missed it the first time. You can even reorganize your pages. Like I would say it would be nice to see the signage first because it is the logo, and then the poster and the brochure, but there's no real order to this. If you want to show, for example, your brochure first or your poster first, that's fine as well. The only thing I would say is keep these 2 together because they are part of the brochure. It might look kind of funny if you have it separated. You can delete it here as well, unpublish it, all that good stuff. Any questions about that? So that's your last step. in this process here. Okay. Just don't forget to keep all your native files. That would be your Photoshop, Illustrator, and InDesign native files that you have. They're kind of working files that you can go back and revise if needed. And again, I will post instructions on how to access Dropbox. If you have issues uploading your files, you can send me a Dropbox link if you're unfamiliar with that. All right. Okay. It's always good to know because Dropbox and Google Drive are external hard drives just, online, and they're so nice to have. I always like to say to students too, because I do this, back up your work everywhere. And that's one of the ways that you can back it up. If you don't have an external drive, or even if you do have an external drive on your computer to back up your work, I would still save it to Google Drive and also if you have Dropbox or whatever. So that if anything were to happen to your external hard drive, you still have it somewhere. So it's always a good thing to do. Yes, totally. I've had students that, and I've been through it too. I have been through situations as a graduate student. I accidentally deleted all of my project files that took me like 36 hours to work on, and almost like I was in tears. So it can happen to the best of us, and I've been working in the field for 20 years, so I should have known better. So just knowing to back up things is so, it's like a lifesaver, like what you said, because it could happen to anybody. Okay, your assessment. I'm not allowed to go over the questions here, but we can definitely take a look at what's going to be on the quiz. Like I said, a lot of the things in your course media is also, a good review for this. How many attempts? That's a good question. I think that's just one attempt. But anyway, give me 1 second here. Learning objectives covered are basically what we went over today for week 4. But this is all the things that you've been working on since week 1 as well. So the quiz is based on the readings, videos, and classwork. You created this mod. Be careful to read the question to help discourage cheating. Some questions will seem like others, but the values have changed, or what is asked for is changed. Be sure you know what the question is asking for and the values to use. There are 11 questions in this quiz, and it is not timed. Yeah, I believe once you submit it, that's it. So, yeah, multiple attempts, no. And I can't change these things on my end, so just make sure you're working through. What's nice about it is it's not timed. So I always like to say, do a split screen and, create a new tab, and then you can always kind of research anything if you have a question about it. I guess that's the good, the nice thing about these quizzes, if you, look it up. But I think you guys will be good. As long as you're, problem solving. Any questions other than what I've kind of went over? You got more confused. I know sometimes, everybody learns differently, and I think quizzes too are, some people just are good at them and some aren't. So just take your time and do the best you can. Lots of information, but like I said, this is really kind of just getting your files ready for print. If anything needs to be revised, just getting your images and your color mode within your images and resolution checked before sending to be printed, or for this instance, sending for evaluation. Just make sure you're going through all of the checklist, and if it helps you to kind of write this checklist down, maybe I can put the checklist too on announcements so you guys can follow through that checklist as well. That might be helpful. Would that be helpful for you guys to do like a checklist? Okay. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, I'll send that, and then I'll do like a checklist that you guys should look for when you're doing your files. It's pretty much in the assignment details too, but I'll just have it in a different way so you guys can use that. And then also I'll post about the Dropbox instructions if I can find some that are easily conveyable. Oh yeah, I need to plug my computer in. Thank you. I actually just got a brand new computer I'm pretty excited about, but I'm not on it yet because I'm still downloading all my programs and linking it up to all my external hard drives. But I do have Catalina on it, and I have been working a little bit with some of the programs, so I'm excited to switch over. So it's just the point of it takes a while for you to set up a computer sometimes with all of work that you've done and making sure everything's saved over. So that's kind of the process I'm going through right now. Yeah, you know what I think my problem was, I don't have enough space on my computer. I think that was my problem I was running into on my older computer that I'm on now. So I solved that. I have a 6-year-old computer, so it's time for me to upgrade. So I felt that it was time. Okay, well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year too. You'll be traveling back to Michigan Saturday. Happy to be going back home, but we'll miss my family in Louisiana. Oh, okay, but you're coming back. That's just for the break. That'll be nice. Okay, okay. Well, have a safe trip. Stay in touch, you guys. I'll be here, like I said, tomorrow. We'll do the multi-session. Ooh, very nice. I'm jealous. Have a safe trip. Thank you so much. Yes. But stay in touch, you guys. I will, like I said, I have a LinkedIn. I will post all this to announcements too, but I do have a LinkedIn connection here. We can stay in touch. I also do have a Facebook page, which I have to be more active on. I've been kind of lackadaisy on that, so I have to get more active on that. But you can look me up on Facebook. It's my first and last name to friend me. I know I have been. It's just been like a crazy week. But, stay in touch with me. I have a lot of students that do, which is great. You don't talk to them. Yeah, I just created this page, so it's I'm kind of gathering some information, getting used to this. So, it's all a process. I don't talk to you. Uh-oh. I will definitely talk to you. I apologize. It's just been a crazy couple weeks, but I definitely do want to keep the dialogue with you guys open. So definitely stay in touch with me. And if I don't get to see you guys tomorrow, have a wonderful break. Please, let me know if you have any questions in the meantime. Obviously I'm here for you guys. Saturday's the deadline. So go ahead, get your late work in if you have not submitted your work. I want everybody to pass this class and do really well. Get it done early if you can, so you can just relax and rest up for the holiday. Does anybody have any other questions or want to go over anything before we wrap it up?
Yes, but I can't because you're recording.
Okay, well, I can still. We still have 15 minutes, so.
Yes, but I don't want your computer to die on me when we're talking.
I'm plugged in. I'm good.
Okay. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
No, my question was, there was on your feedback, I didn't peeked at it yet on mine, but every time I've submitted my PDFs, have all been high press quality.
I'm sorry, I missed that. What was that? When you
said, I'll get you a little closer to the mic. I said you've always been in press quality whenever I've submitted my files. When I've transferred to PDF, I've always had them in press quality. So
press quality. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that, I don't think I have to do that. I mean, when I go in there tomorrow, and you'll have the reason why I want to meet tomorrow is also so you can better point out your revisions of what you want done. Shut up, phone. So yeah, that thing goes off all the time. But yeah, so you can maybe explain to me more about your revisions, what you're wanting me to do.
Okay.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand why you're doing it because it's like pretend you're a client. I understand that part. It's just understanding what you're wanting to talk. I'm like, what is she saying?
Okay,
So
yeah. If you
I
have
try
any
not to do those
questions
things
with
until I
my
have to.
yeah, if you have any questions about my feedback, definitely let me know.
Well, I understand one of them I peeked at. You said you wanted me to bring something down, I think, or something. And I'm like, I don't think I have to resubmit in press quality because I've already done that. I just have to,
Well,
I've
you're
already been that way. The native files are all in press quality, so I don't think I have to bring that over again. But if I have to, I'll be like, all right.
yeah, you're just going to make those revisions, and then you're going to make sure everything like I showed you today is press ready to
Mm-hmm.
go, like colors, images, resolution. And then you're going to
Yeah.
export as I showed you, like package, and you're going to.
Yeah, I've been doing that all the time. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I'll just say I don't have. I'll say this week was better than last week with you. I don't have any issues with you, so I can. So yes. But yeah, we'll go. Yeah, well, I'll look forward to tomorrow because that discussion still is confusing to me. But I think I've got a handle on that, and I don't think Writing Center opens till noon Mountain, so I have to wait a little bit. Boo.
That's good. All right.
Look forward to hopefully seeing your face tomorrow. If not, that's okay.
I will try for you, Ben.
Please, because it's like the whole mod I'm talking is like this blank person. She's got a mouth. So
Okay.
I really would like that tomorrow. So if possible, that'd be great. If not, that's fine. But I will see you tomorrow.
All right, Ben.
But thanks, bud. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Yep, bye bye.
All right. Oh, Martin's gone.